Hello, lovely people. This is Renee here from Reborn Health. And if we haven't met before, welcome. I'm an intuitive eating nutritionist and I help women create a positive relationship with food, their body, and themselves so that they can get out there and completely kick ass in life. So, welcome. Today, I'm talking about a particular phrase that gets thrown around this time of year, being November, December, that I'm not a huge fan of. And the phrase is how to avoid weight gain over the festive season. So what I'm going to share for you in this video is how to, firstly, the reasons why I'm not a fan of this, and instead how to reframe this thinking and to develop a strategy where weight gain isn't the central focal point of your festive season. Okay, so let's dive straight in. Now, before we do, I want to share a personal story with you. So about 10 years ago, when I was at the height of my disordered eating, and I was someone that was very much into the clean eating, wellness space and healthifying everything, we were with my family for Christmas, so uncles, aunties, cousins, and because there was a large amount of people, we each divided up a particular meal. And I volunteered straight up, I'm going to do dessert. Now, the reason why I did that is because I went, that meal is the one that I'm most fearful of because it's probably going to have the highest amount of sugar, fat, carbs, whatever it is. And I was absolutely petrified of gaining weight. I first of all felt very uncomfortable being in a situation where I couldn't control my food 100% because I very much like to do that. And I was very uncomfortable with the fact that my exercise routine was going to be a little bit different. And so in the back of my mind, I had this fear of weight gain. Of course, I didn't think that there was a problem at the time, but retrospectively looking back, absolutely 100% fear of weight gain. So with dessert, here's what I did. I froze a batch of banana, I froze a batch of mango, and I froze a batch of strawberries. So all separately, put it into a food processor all separately, and then I served it to my family as nice cream. Not ice cream, nice cream. So this was a healthified version of ice cream for my family. And of course it tastes delicious, it's lovely, you know, it's a really lovely, healthy way to get more fruit. But the issue was I was healthifying something because of my fear of weight gain. I could have simply served ice cream and be done with it. Or if I had served it from a place of that wasn't rooted in fear, that was love, going, I absolutely love fruit and I want to find a way that I can serve it to my family, maybe that was a bit different. But the whole reason why I did it is I was petrified of gaining weight and I was petrified of eating anything that had sugar and was real ice cream, you know? That's the difference. So I hope you can see that. Now, the reason why I share this story is when you hear messages and those statements about how to avoid weight gain over the festive season, guess what? They're probably going to be suggesting that very thing that I just did, that I did 10 years ago with my family, and that's healthifying. Okay, that's one solution that they might have for you. But it just goes to show how big of a deal we place and how much pressure we place on weight and weight gain and making weight the center of our universe at a time we should just take a chill pill and just relax. I mean, it's Christmas, for God's sake. Just chill out a little bit here. But we should be avoiding this whole weight-centric and fat-phobic viewpoint at any time of the year, but it becomes so apparent at Christmas and Thanksgiving. So the two reasons why I really don't like this statement, and you've probably, I've probably alluded to it already. The first one is the fact that it is making anything to do with weight the whole center of your universe and something that is deemed, reinforcing that it should be avoided, that it's terrible, that you should be afraid of it, that, oh, you don't want to be doing that, right? So aside from that, sending this subtle message of fear and kind of perpetuating that in the back of your mind, what happens if you do gain weight? What then? That's just going to make you feel horrible and awful because of all these messages that are being sent. That it's something you should have avoided. Oh my God, it's terrible. And then, guess what happens in January? Right when you're feeling low, right when you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've done this to myself and I can't believe I've gained weight. Guess what happens January 1st? Hey everyone, let's get on this diet kick. Let's take this supplement. Come and join my 6-week Get Your Body Back program. See what I mean? It's like this prophecy and this like machine that makes you feel like absolute shit in December. And then it gives you the whole, here's the solution in January, which we all know doesn't work. And then the whole cycle repeats itself again. So that is reason number one why I don't like this statement. It's just making you feel even more like shit. It's making you feel afraid, and it's setting you up for failure from a mental point of view. The second reason why I don't like this is having the word avoid implies that you have full and 100% control over your weight and your body. Spoiler alert, you don't. You don't, people. The way that you are when you're out, when you're not dieting, when you're not manipulating it, just as you, is completely unique to you and your body. Your body has one goal, and that is to keep you alive. And it does that by maintaining a weight for you that keeps it alive. For some people, that's really thin. For some people, it's in a, average kind of weight. For some people, it's in a larger body. How you look, your body is not a determinant of health. I don't know how much more clear I can make that. But your body size is not a determinant of health. What we aim to do is health promoting behaviors and let our body take care of the rest. And wherever the weight happens to be is wherever it happens to be. So sending the message that you should be avoiding weight gain or trying to lose weight are both manipulating body statements, and both of them are setting you up for failure, because we know diets do not work. If diets worked, you would only ever need to do one, and you'd never need to do one ever again. But that is not the case. And you might go, well, people lose weight on diets, but then guess what happens? They gain it back, and then maybe even then some. Okay? Diets just don't work. They just don't. So the reason why I don't like this statement is it's setting you up in this thought process that you have control over your body's internal mechanism on how it's going to regulate its weight. You just don't. You just don't. Okay? Now, the solution for this. So a new way that you can be looking about this is, I want you to look at December and go, okay, what is it about this year that makes me drawn? What is it about this time of the year that makes me drawn to these messages? That makes me feel as though, yeah, you know what? I do want to avoid weight gain. Aside from the whole society making us afraid of weight, I want you to look at it from another perspective. What happens in December that's different to other times of the year? I could give you a few examples. So there's going to be more food. You're probably going to be out of your home environment, so your natural, comfortable surroundings. So that can be a little bit unsettling in terms of how you like to eat, how you like to exercise. You may drink a little bit more. Maybe you are doing less movement because maybe your job, if you're taking some time out, is very high tempo and now you're just sitting around. Maybe you're not doing a lot of movement. Whatever it happens to be, the situation may be a little bit different externally to what you've encountered for the rest of the year. Now, does this happen to you in December? Do you find that because there is more food around and maybe more foods that you might label as trigger foods, you feel a little bit anxious about it? You feel a little bit stressed because you're now around foods that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't say no to it. And maybe one of two things happen. You either eat the food and you completely overindulge because you're like, oh my God, this is so good and I'm just going to eat it and it's Christmas time and you're telling yourself all these messages and then you feel guilty about it. Or you avoid it, but then you keep obsessing and thinking about it over and over and over and over again. Okay? Does that happen to you? Or maybe you find that your emotional and stress eating really increases at this time of year because it's a more stressful time of year for some people. You know, there can be family situations that are stressful and family obligations and friend obligations and all that kind of stuff that can increase emotional and stress eating. Is that what happens for you at this time of year? And that's something that you're a bit concerned and worried about. Are you someone that finds that you restrict more? You may not realize that you're doing it, but what you're doing is setting yourself up for, well, I'm going to have a massive turkey dinner and I want to be able to eat all the foods, so I'm not going to eat anything through the day. But then that happens a few times because maybe you're going to a few different parties and functions and things like that. Does that happen to you? Or are you like me and you healthify foods? So you figure out and research, you know, ways that you can use avocado, you know, with cacao powder as your icing rather than actually just using plain icing sugar. You know, does that kind of thing happen for you? Do you find that the mental story you're telling yourself, so do you tell yourself that you can eat something with the caveat that you exercise the next day? And using statements like, oh, I'm just going to burn it off. Or do you just spend December just going, I'm just going to eat all the food and I'm just going to eat and eat and eat and eat and drink and you feel uncomfortably full, like day in, day out, because you know come January 1st, you're going to get on that health kick and that bandwagon, right? Does any of that sound familiar to you? And is that why you're really drawn to those messages about how to avoid weight gain? Because that's a typical way that you kind of have your December festive season period. And because of those behaviors, you find you typically gain weight and you want to avoid it. I'm going to tell you something. So the people that are telling you how to avoid weight gain in the festive period are not going to have a solution for those very situations that I just dictated right there. They're not. Because they are fixated on the weight gain. They are fixated on just reinforcing the whole eat less, exercise more rhetoric. They're fixated on weight being the center of your health goals. It's not going to address a single one of those situations that I've just described. And here's why. December should have no change and no difference over the other 11 months leading up to it. If your relationship with your food and your body was coming from a positive place over the 11 months leading up to it, December is just another month. So the external might be different. Yes, you're going to be around more food. Yes, you're going to be in situations that are different to home. And yes, you're going to be more, you know, you're going to have less facilities. You're going to have to exercise and all those kind of things. Your external's different. But guess what's the same? Your internal. How you deal with those situations is the same because you've been doing it for the 11 months leading up to it. If you find that you're someone that overindulges in food, you haven't developed your hunger and fullness cues properly. If you're somebody that feels really anxious and triggered around your trigger foods and find that you can't stop and you know you've had this whole mental anguish around it, guess what? You haven't allowed yourself to eat the foods that you truly want to eat for the other 11 months of the year leading up to it. If you're someone that's telling yourself that you need to exercise and burn it off the next day, So therefore you can have this. You haven't worked on your body image. You haven't worked on your relationship to exercise, because you're telling yourself that food is conditional, and it's conditional on the fact that you exercise to burn it off. If you are somebody that is more prone to have emotional and stress eating behaviors over December, you haven't worked on your coping strategies for the rest of the year leading up to it, because you're still turning to food as your number one emotional and stress relief. Do you see where I'm going here? The 11 months of the year leading up to December is what sets you up for December. It makes no difference. Because when you have a healthy relationship with food and body, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. And it doesn't matter what situation gets thrown at you. How you deal with it inside, your inner knowing of yourself, and how you process and deal with these situations doesn't change. So the external can do whatever it wants, because you can't control that. But what you can control is the internal feelings and thoughts and the way that you process and therefore behave in those situations. So if we come back to that statement, how to avoid weight gain in the festive season, it's not setting you up for success at all, because it's not going to address any of those real root cause issues as to why you're truly afraid. It's not going to address those behaviors, because it's not dealing with your relationship to your food and body. In fact, it's perpetuating it. It's making you afraid of weight. It's telling you that you should be avoiding it. And it's sending a very clear message that you should be controlling absolutely everything in that realm, when in fact, you need to be taking a step back, listening to your body, giving it what it needs, and just letting it take care of the rest. And let's be honest right now. It's the Christmas period. It's Thanksgiving. It's the festive period. Do you really want some, health and wellness person in the back of your head reinforcing this at a time when you should just be enjoying food and just enjoying the company that you're with? Really? That's why I really just don't like these phrases. It just sets people up for a whole other thing that they, need to be thinking about. So here's a solution for you. And I'm going to give you one thing, because as I said, this is the festive period. I don't want you to be journaling. I don't want you to be being stuck in your head and, stressing and worrying about this kind of thing. Because let's face it, you can't undo the 11 months leading up to December, but you can do something about it leading into the next year. And this is what I want to help you with. So all I want you to do, if this has resonated with you, is I want you to be curious. Look at the situations that you encounter over the Christmas, Thanksgiving festive period, and get curious about how you're feeling in those situations and the thoughts that are coming up for you. If you feel compelled to write it down to remind yourself, do it. If you think that's something you can remember, completely fine. So all I want you to do is just go, that's interesting. I'm feeling really anxious at the moment around this particular food, or I feel like I'm stress eating a little bit more. Isn't that interesting? That's all I want you to take it. I don't want you to analyze it. I don't want you to try and think about why this is happening, or try to stop it or control it or anything. I just want you to note it. And then come January, what I want you to do is I want you to send me a message, either email or personal message, and I want you to tell me what came up for you. Tell me that you listened to this video and that you found that these were the things that kind of came up for you in these situations. And then I'm going to get in touch with you and set up a free session where we can come up with a strategy together for the rest of the year, so that come December in 12 months' time, you're not looking for the avoid weight gain solution. You've already got a positive relationship with food that's going to carry you through for the rest of your life. Okay? That's all I want you to do. Now, if you're someone that goes, you know what, I think I want to try and take this a step further, Renee. I kind of feel like I want to have a little bit more of an understanding of this, then I encourage you to download my free resource, which is a hunger guide. And this is about starting to get you familiar with your discerning between your thoughts and your hunger and true hunger. And there's a few different exercises and journaling things in there that can start to help you be in tune with your body and what it's actually telling you from a hunger point of view. That'll also get you onto my email list, where I send out regular tips and helpful information to help you with your relationship with food. So they're the two things that you can do. Just get curious about it, then send me an email come January and let's work on it together. Or download my hunger guide and let's get yourself started on a positive relationship with food before the end of the year. So I hope that was helpful for you. Please enjoy your Christmas, your Thanksgiving, and I look forward to helping you in 2022. Okay, goodbye.